Your Denver Broncos are doing something right now behind closed doors that makes the rest of the NFL look completely clueless. While other coaches are sitting back and letting their front offices pull the strings, Sean Payton is secretly orchestrating a masterclass in building a Super Bowl roster. Today, we are breaking down the hidden truth behind Payton's insane draft success rate and why you need to be absolutely losing your mind with hype for this upcoming draft. If you want to be completely blown away by what this team is building, do me a quick favor, smash that like button, share this with every Broncos fan you know, and hit subscribe right now so you never miss out on the real story. Are we seriously pretending that the normal NFL way of drafting actually works? Think about it. We see it every single year. You look around the league at these head coaches who brag about barely being involved in the draft process, and where do they end up? Fired. Gone. Watching the playoffs from their couch. Mike McCarthy admitted he just hoped to be part of the conversation before the Green Bay Packers let him go, and it was the exact same story when he was with the Dallas Cowboys. Just the other day, Mike Vrabel said he is barely involved in the dialogue. Before Bruce Arians was shown the door by the Arizona Cardinals, he confessed that he might give an opinion and listen to the scouts, but the general manager ultimately makes all the choices. That is exactly how the Cowboys, the Bengals, and the Browns operate. And what do they all have in common? They absolutely choke when it comes to making deep, meaningful playoff runs. When you hear about those teams running their front offices like that, you should be dropping to your knees thanking the football gods that your team does the polar opposite. Even the legendary Pete Carroll admitted that back when he was the head coach of the New England Patriots, he wasn't involved in the draft process at all and realized too late that it was a massive mistake. The head coach shouldn't have to fight to be involved. The Patriots literally used to have a rule in the 80s that the head coach wasn't even allowed to look at scouting reports for the players they were about to draft. Can you believe that? That is pure insanity. But then you look at Denver, and the contrast is staggering. Sean Payton and George Paton do not delegate. The minute the league owner meetings ended, they locked themselves in a war room at 7:30 in the morning. No social media posts. No media tours. No sitting courtside at Nuggets games. They are obsessed, locked, and loaded. Payton operates by the famous philosophy of his lifelong mentor, Bill Parcells: if they want you to cook the dinner, they better let you buy the groceries. And the fact that Payton demands to buy his own groceries makes the rest of the league incredibly jealous. The person calling the plays and absorbing the wins and losses absolutely needs to be the one hand-picking the exact talent to execute his vision. We already know Payton is a draft genius. We have talked about it endlessly. He has drafted more Pro Bowlers after pick number 60 than any other head coach in the history of professional football. Remember his legendary 2017 draft class with the New Orleans Saints. That wasn't just the best class of that year. Analysts regularly call it one of the greatest draft hauls in NFL history. But you don't care about the Saints. You care about the Broncos. When Payton got here, he promised us we would be good at this. Has he actually brought that magic to Denver? Has he outdrafted the rest of the league? The answer is a massive, definitive yes. Let's look at the actual math. The NFL standard says if you find 3 everyday starters in a standard 7-pick draft class, you had a very good draft. If you find 4 or more, it is considered a grand slam. It is nearly unheard of. So, let's rewind to his very first year in Denver. We were financially handcuffed and completely stripped of draft capital because of the Russell Wilson trade disaster. We didn't even pick until number 63. What does Payton do? He selects Marvin Mims, who instantly becomes an All-Pro, a 2-time Pro Bowler, and a clutch playmaker who catches the ball in the biggest, most intense moments. That is an A+ grade and one elite starter. Then we have Drew Sanders. A lot of critics out there want to stamp a failing D grade on him because of his injuries. But you look at a kid dealing with Achilles issues, foot problems, and a torn knee ligament holding him to just 21 total games, and you have to call that a to be determined. I absolutely refuse to believe the very first defensive player Sean Payton picked in Denver is a total bust. Let's see him get healthy. But Payton didn't stop. At pick 83, he grabs Riley Moss. People doubted him, but Moss developed into one of the absolute best number 2 cornerbacks in the entire league. He helped anchor the most dominant secondary in football, stepping up huge when Pat Certain went down. Sure, he led the league in penalties for a stretch, but Moss is an absolute dog on the field. That is starter number 2. Later on, he drafts J.L. Skinner, who became a core starter on special teams. And then, in the 7th round, he pulls Alex Forsyth out of nowhere, and he is literally our starting center right now. You are finding a starting NFL center with a 7th round pick. Add it all up. Out of only 5 total picks, in a year where we had no first rounder, Sean Payton found 4 starters. That is a historic hit rate. Question of the day for you guys: looking back at that 2023 draft, do you think Riley Moss or Marvin Mims has had a bigger impact on the culture of this team? Drop your exact answer in the comments below right now because I want to see where Broncos Country stands. Now, let's talk about the first time Payton actually had a first-round pick to work with. He pulls off an absolute heist. He completely baits the Minnesota Vikings and comfortably drafts Bo Nix. All Nix has done since arriving is break NFL records for comeback victories, throw an insane number of touchdowns in his first stretch of games, take us to the brink of a Super Bowl appearance, make the Pro Bowl, and cement himself as a consensus top 10 quarterback going into next season. Even if every other player in that draft flamed out, finding a franchise quarterback makes it an A+ draft. But Payton kept dealing. He drafts Jonah Ellis. The only reason Ellis isn't universally recognized as an A+ superstar yet is because he is buried behind Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper. But as a 21-year-old rookie, he still tied for the most sacks in his age group with 5. Now that he is shifting to play some inside linebacker, we are just scratching the surface of his floor. Then we have Troy Franklin. If he hadn't dealt with late-season injuries, there is a very real world where he put up 1,000 receiving yards. We drafted Chris Abrams-Draine, who gave us crucial depth and stepped right in to intercept Justin Herbert when Riley Moss got banged up. We drafted Devon Vele in the 7th round and developed him into a player worth a 4th-round value before he moved on to the Saints. We grabbed Nick Gargiulo, who was locked in to be our backup guard before a brutal training camp injury derailed his season. Did Payton make a mistake? Yes. Audric Estime was a total whiff. But here is why Payton is a brilliant leader: he does not have a fragile ego. The second he realized Estime wasn't the right fit, he cut him loose. Most coaches will waste 3 years trying to force a bad pick to work just to save face. Payton failed fast, fell on his sword, and moved forward. The average NFL general manager misses on 5 out of 7 draft picks every single year. Through his first 2 drafts, Payton only completely missed once. Finally, look at what he just did last season. We draft Jody Barron in the 1st round. Maybe he hasn't completely broken out as a full-time starter in our elite secondary yet, but his ability to step in and play multiple positions as a rookie was incredibly valuable. But the real gem. We get R.J. Harvey in the 2nd round, and he literally led every single rookie in the NFL in touchdowns. He is a certified star. We draft Pat Bryant, who rotated in as a starter multiple times and is pegged to be our wide receiver 3, even alongside Jalen Waddle. We bring in Sevon Jones, and the fact that we let John Franklin Myers walk without replacing him tells you Jones is about to have a massive role. We draft Quandarius Robinson, who proved his worth by sacking Drake May in the intense pressure of the NFL playoffs. And in the late rounds, we find Jeremy Crawshaw, who instantly became one of the best special teams rookies in the league, booming near 80-yard punts and locking down the punter position as a perennial All-Pro for years to come. Even with Caleb Lohner being a piece we haven't seen suit up yet, this class easily produced 3 dominant starters. The receipts are right there on the table. Your Denver Broncos scout the draft differently than any other franchise in football, and Sean Payton is undeniably better at this than everybody else. When you realize that we have 7 draft picks coming up in just 8 days, you shouldn't just be excited. You should be counting down the seconds. This draft is going to fuel us to a deep playoff run. Believe the hype.